Hello everybody, this is Ian here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Doctor Who Season 10, Episode 5, Oxygen. Now, overall I thought that this was a very good episode, but there was one fundamental flaw. First off, though, the positives. I will mention that the shock ending was incredible, and if you haven't seen the episode, then A, why are you watching one of my notoriously spoilery reviews? And B, you have a couple of seconds to either turn off the review or skip to the timestamp provided to continue with the review without that spoiler. Anyway, time's up. The Doctor is blind now. That was legitimately probably the biggest shock moment of the modern series and possibly of the entire series to this date. During the episode itself, when the Doctor said he was blind, it was surprising but not necessarily shocking. There have been times in the past where the Doctor has been somehow irreversibly maimed during an episode, and the best example of this that I can think of is in the Leisure Hive when the Doctor becomes an old man for, I think it's like 2 of the 4 episodes. But every time the Doctor is maimed in some way, he finds a way to reverse the process, and I was 100% certain that that was what had happened here, and what was going to happen throughout the course of the episode. Because the Doctor doesn't get permanently injured from any of his adventures at all. No siree, none at all. The Doctor had been blind on the space station, was healed in the TARDIS, and Jamie let us believe that for a good few minutes before the Doctor dropped the bombshell in the last 10 minutes of the episode, and it just blew my mind. Oxygen has to be the first and only episode outside of a regeneration episode that left the Doctor permanently maimed or at least seriously injured in a way that carries over to another story, other than whatever unseen adventure gave Tom Baker that horrible scar during the first few serials of the Key to Time series. Anyway, I thought that was a brilliant twist, and I'm really excited to see exactly how they handle it. Also, Peter Capaldi played blind really well. Peter Capaldi was really good overall, as usual. He had a lot of great Doctor moments in this episode, and the conclusion to this episode was brilliant. It was exactly how a good conclusion should play out. The entire episode, we'd been repeatedly told about the oxygen capitalism that's been going on in economics and business and everything, but I didn't really think anything of it. I'm just like, oh, it's a satire on capitalism. That's fun. But then the resolution was about capitalism, taking all of the little threads that had been dropped unnoticed throughout the episode and weaving them into an extremely satisfying conclusion. Jamie Mathewson took a situation for which there seemed no way out with a good resolution, and made a way out by using elements of the plot laid out beforehand. That is the mark of a good story, when a resolution can be hidden in plain sight, and no one notices until it all comes together, like in Heaven Sent. Admittedly, the way Bill survived was fairly Deus Ex Machina, but I'll talk more about that later. Now I'm going to be talking about the villains of the piece, the zombie suits. These things are terrifying, and I absolutely adore the loud, discordant, metallic chords that accompanied them. And I'd say that this is, honestly, the scariest villain of the season so far, and honestly, one of the scariest villains we've had in a while. I only wish we'd seen more of them, but once again, more on that later. Another thing I really liked I touched on in my Thin Ice review, and that's that the villain of this piece was really humans, and I like that there's no alien threat with some ulterior motive. It's just humans. It's a lot like Voyage of the Damned in that, yes, there are villains that are not human, but they are caused and designed by humans and working for humans, and I really like that, and I really like that we had an episode where the villain wasn't aliens. Now for the final part of the positives, we have Bill and Nardole, who will also be used to transition into the negatives. I honestly don't have much to say on Bill that I haven't said 4 times already. She's really good, I really like her character, and I'm excited to see more of her. Once again, Jamie Mathewson shows his skill for writing dialogue between the main characters. As for Nardole, he was pretty funny in this episode. Admittedly, he did get a little bit annoying at times, but nowhere near as bad as he got in the 3 Moffat episodes. The biggest problem with Nardole in this episode was that after the zombies showed up, he really lost any significance in the episode and faded into the background like he did in the 3 Moffat episodes. It wasn't terrible, but it was something I noted. He did have some very good scenes in the beginning and the end, so for the positives, Oxygen had a good twist, good villains, a good premise, good writing, and a brilliant conclusion. Now for the negatives. First, the other characters. I didn't care about any of them. None of them had any character or motives or likability, and I'll probably just forget all of their names in a week. The only one that I really remember was Da Ren, because he was such a unique character, and he had possibly the best line of the piece, "Oh great, we've rescued a racist." Frankly, I think that all of the side characters in this could have been given much more time to develop, and this leads me to the one fundamental flaw of this episode. Pacing. It is absurdly rushed. Pretty much every scene cuts out too early or is flown through at a record pace. This episode really needed to be a two-parter, desperately so. If it had been, I think this could have been one of my favorite episodes of all time. Every major issue that this episode has could have been resolved by just having more time. The side characters could have been fleshed out more, and Ardell could have been given more scenes to establish himself as a player in the episode once the plot got rolling. The underused villains would have been given more time to shine, Bill's survival could have been better explained, and the intensity of the episode would have gone up dramatically. It would have been brilliant and a lot like Silence in the Library. Just think about what the villains do in this piece. They arrive, chase the heroes for 30 seconds, kill one of them, and then the Doctor and co. reach a safe area where they discuss plot for a few minutes, and then the suits find a way to break in and chase the Doctor for another minute before he finds a new safe area, killing a side character along the way, and then it just repeats, and everything falls into just a big pattern, and the same looking corridors in every chase meant that they all felt exactly the same. The one section that was different, the fight outside the spaceship, was glossed over completely. It just makes me sad because I can see exactly where this episode could have excelled, but just didn't have the time to do it. This is why I really like the serial-based format of the classic era, especially in the areas of the first three Doctors, because every episode was made exactly how long it needed to be to succeed. The Demons, for instance, was made 5 episodes because it had 5 episodes of content to deliver, and any more or less would have made it rushed or too slow. Another example is The Edge of Destruction, which is only 2 episodes because it needed to be 2 episodes for maximum enjoyment. Now, this didn't always happen, as episodes like The Daleks' Master Plan can attest to, but by and large, the episodes were made as long as they needed to be without being too fast or too slow, and if the choice comes, I'd rather have an episode that is too slow, because if the desire crosses your mind, you can make a fan edit, trimming out unnecessary scenes, making it more fast-paced, and making a boring episode exciting. But you can't add to an episode that is too fast and make a rushed episode slower. I just really hope that there is enough material for this episode to fill to, because that would give the possibility for an extended version to be released as a special feature at some point or something. And I really want this to happen just because this was such a promising episode, and I really hope it can find a way to fulfill that potential. I mean, even something small like Bill's suit removing her helmet once they were outside of the ship during the fight scene would have made it a lot more exciting. We would have gotten to see some of the fight on the ship, and then it would have played out exactly the same, just the suit would have taken off Bill's helmet a couple minutes later. Anyway, so Oxygen was a very good but extremely rushed episode, and I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10 on enjoyability and an 8 out of 10 compared to other Doctor Who episodes. I will see you next week for Extremis, another episode that I'm really looking forward to because it is the first part of the 3-part epic of Season 10, and we get to see exactly what Stephen Moffat is going to do with the blinded Doctor. If only Missy wasn't in it. Anyway, I'll see you next time.